Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast. It is the 28th of September, and I'm thankful to be able to spend this time with you all. I hope you're glad to spend this time with me. I do. I hope I hope it's mutual. I am so thankful for these 1800 seconds that we get to hang out together and talk about different things that affect us and things that we are concerned about, things that I hope inspire us and things that I hope motivate us. And just in case someone is stopping by for the first time and wondering, okay, what is he going to talk about? What is this channel about? I've seen thousands of channels out here on YouTube. So what makes this one different? What makes this one different is that there's nothing negative. We don't talk about negativity up here. We don't talk about pessimism. We don't talk about people. We don't talk about small things. We talk about real issues. And I hope that you find some encouragement in the topics that as a content provider that I like to share with you all from week to week. I really hope you do. So in case somebody's stopping by for the first time, that's what this channel is all about. It's about inspiration, it's about motivation, and it is about challenging ourselves to make sure that we've shown up today better than we did yesterday, and make sure that we are striving to show up better tomorrow than we did today. And it doesn't mean that yesterday was a failure, that today was a flop. It means that we're just deliberate and intentional about evolving and about growing and about changing and making sure that we change in a positive way. And it is about making sure that we show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations, striving to show up our best self, even in the worst of situations. That is my goal. That is the mantra of my life. I always want to strive to be better. Life is filled with transitions and life is filled with dynamics. And who are we if we don't learn how to respond to the things that life throws at us? Life throws a whole lot of things. Sometimes life slings mud. And I'm talking about the proverbial mud. And sometimes life will throw a baseball your way, and it's up to you to either knock a home run or to strike out. It really is. And if you strike out, that doesn't mean that the game is over. Life sometimes throws different cards at you, and I often say sometimes it's about learning how to play the hand that you were dealt. You may not win every hand, but that doesn't mean that you lose the game. So that is one of the reasons that we spend this time talking together, because we want to make sure that we engage in conversations that will challenge us, that will pull at our character, that will cause us to grow, that will show us the integrity that we have, that will show us the strength that we have, that will develop our character. There's a passage that talks about iron sharpening iron. So when we come to this platform as people who have something to offer to each other. And I certainly get that from you all when you're chatting and when you're commenting to the things that I have to say. I'm taking those comments to heart. I don't take them for granted. I take those to heart. Cutler, keep on going. So let me just encourage you. If you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And then after you subscribe, do me a favor, click on the notification bell that's either down there or up there or over there, because I want you to be a part of what I'm talking about. I really do. I want you to be a part of what I'm talking about, because I'm just trying to help save somebody's life. I really am. And I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs. And tell them why you're talking fast, because I really have something to say tonight. But I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs. Those are the people who jump into the chat first. From my perspective, I know you all see a different thing on your view from time to time, but the first people that I see in the chat tonight, I want to say a thank you to them and a hello to them, are Hattie Boone, Linda Martin, and Annie Cutler. It's good to see all of you all. It's good to see everybody in the chat, but they seem to have beat you all in the chat first. Now, listen, I see others of you over in the, just sort of waiting around. Come on in the chat and say hi. Let me see you. Let me know that you're here. Say good evening. Say something. Say hello. The month is almost over, you all. It is the 28th of September. I'm not going to jump into politics and talk about this government shutdown or this impending government shutdown, but I always find it interesting. I find it so interesting when we are at a point where the government is about to shut down because those people who are on the Hill cannot seem to get it together to fund the government. Do they not know how it affects people's lives? I just need to share this, you all. I know this has nothing to do with the topic, but I just want to share this. This is no small feat. This is not something that's just happening that we don't need to be concerned about. You may be retired, you may not be a federal employee, you may not even be a federal contractor, but when the government, I just need to say this, when the government shuts down, that means thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are impacted. Civil servants, federal civil servants, and federal contractors who support the government. And when the government shuts down, sometimes these people go without pay. I think it was 2018, 2019. It was over a 30-day shutdown. And do you not know that because of that shutdown, there were people who ended up in soup lines? There were people who ended up standing in line and trying to get loans because they did not get their salaries. They didn't get their paychecks. When the government shuts down, you all, there are people who don't get paid. And 60% of, why am I going into these stats? 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And can you imagine 30 days without a paycheck? That affects people's mortgages. That affects people's car payments. That affects people, their educational loan repayments. That affects their ability to get food. That affects their ability to have, it affects so much. So it annoys me, it bothers me to think that there are people that we have voted, that we have sent to Capitol Hill who cannot get it together. And because they can't get it together, it affects so many other people. It's disturbing. So if you're paying attention to the news, this is no small feat. This is no small thing. And so I just need to put in this plug. You know, this is really not a political platform, but I just need to put in this plug to say, pay attention. Pay attention to the people that we are sending to Capitol Hill, to make sure that you are sending people to Capitol Hill who would do the job that we sent them there to do. I have family and friends who are federal civil servants. And I watched them go without a paycheck for over a month. I just wanted to say that, because we have the calendar year that goes from January to December. But then there is the fiscal calendar that the federal government uses that goes until the end of September. So it goes from the 1st of October to the end of September. The end of September is what is known as the end of the fiscal year for them. And at the end of the fiscal year, if they cannot reach an agreement, to fund these federal agencies, then the federal government closes down. If they can't reach an agreement, but they decide to buy themselves or give themselves some time, then they will vote on and pass what is called a continuing resolution. So why am I holding this lesson for us tonight? So if you are watching the news and you're wondering, what does this shutdown mean, and what is this continuing resolution all about? That's what it means. We are at the end of their fiscal year. We're at the end of the federal work year. And they need to fund these agencies. If they don't, they can at least come up with a few more days to buy themselves time to reach an agreement. And that time, that ability to do that is called a continuing resolution, whereby there are temporary funds where people are getting paid. I just want to put that out there. So if you're watching the news, that's what it's all about. And Tracy, I completely agree with you. They need their salaries taken until they make an agreement. They do. They need their salaries taken until they make an agreement. And if they don't have their salary, they should have their salaries taken until they make an agreement. And then they should not get back pay for the time when they didn't make an agreement. Let me just keep on going. All right. So listen, I just wanted to put that out there, you all. But listen, let's talk about who you hang around and what your friendships say about you. That's really where I'm going. That's really what I want to talk about. What does your friendships say about you? You can tell a lot about people based on, here we go. You can tell a lot about people based on who they hang around or who hangs around them. So you all tell me, what do you think? But what does your acquaintances and your relationships and your affiliations, what does that say about you? I'm not asking you what do they say about you, but what does the kind of friendships and the kind of affiliations and the kind of acquaintances that you hold, what does that say about you? I'm wondering, what does that say about you? But Cutler, where does that conversation come from? I mean, you know, what is that? What was the impetus of that, or the genesis of that? What is behind that? Because I was reading something today. It says the relationships you choose to entertain will always reveal what you really think you deserve. The relationships you choose to entertain will always reveal what you really think you deserve. So I want you to think, and again, this is not beat yourself up. This is not condemnation, but this is just thinking about asking yourself, do I have the right people in my corner? Do I have people in my corner who are going to help me think outside of the box? So I have people in my corner who are going to challenge me. Remember before we talked about this whole notion of what kind of relationships do we have? Do we have ones, twos, and threes? When we have people who will challenge us, people who will pour into us, people who really, as it were, or are our mentors and we are their proteges. Those are the threes in our lives. And then we talked about having the twos in our lives, people who are compatible with us, and we see ourselves on the same plateau, and we walk along. We just keep walking right along and doing things together. Then we talked about having ones in our lives. Ones are not bad things. It doesn't mean that they rank low. It means that we have people whose lives we can pour into. All right. So then the question of the evening is, what does your affiliations say about you? What does your relationships say about you? What does your acquaintances say about you? In one of my books, I can't remember which one it is. My mother may just say which one it is. But one of the things that I wrote, and I know I may have even shared this to talk about this to you all. Friends who hang around you in life, who walk with you in life, just might be the ones who walk you to your grave and your death. The friends who walk around with you and walk with you in life might be the ones who walk you to your grave and your death. They're going to show up at your funeral. So what? So when they show up, what will your friendship, your relationship, your acquaintanceship, if you will, with them, what would that say about you? What does it say about what you think you deserve? So not necessarily what does it say about you, but what does it say about what you think you deserve? So I don't know about you all, but I look for the ones and the twos and the threes, because one of the things that I trust that I deserve is a balanced life. I trust that I deserve the opportunity to pour some of my wisdom into somebody else. I trust that I deserve the opportunity to have somebody else's wisdom poured into me. I trust that I deserve the opportunity to be able to walk with somebody that can push me when I need it and pull me when I need it, and do the same thing to them. I trust that I deserve all of that. What does your relationships reveal about what you think you deserve? Couple, don't get too carried away. It's important for us to think about this, because sometimes, and I'm not saying anything about people, but I'm saying something about our mindset. Sometimes the people that we hang around says a whole lot about how we see our value. Sometimes when you hang around people you hang around people and you know they are stagnant. This is not about them. This is about you selecting them. Because we do have the power of selection. We have the power of selection, rejection, and ejection. We have the power of selection, rejection, and ejection. Either we can select them to be a part of our lives, and once they are a part of our lives, they can be ejected. Or we have the power not to allow them to come in the first place. That's rejection. So when it comes to your acquaintances and your relationships, you have the power of selection, ejection, and rejection. And you don't, as my mother often said to me when I was growing up, and even as an adult, don't let people put themselves off on you. You don't have to do that. But just as quickly as she modeled that for me, she also said, but don't you put yourself off on other people. When it comes to relationships, there should be a welcome mat at the door. You don't get to bogart and bombard and come into my life and I don't welcome you. You don't get to do that. You don't get to manipulate me and become a trickster and get in my life. You don't get to do that. But guess what? I don't get to do that to your life either. Who are you hanging around? That's the question. Let's make sure that I told you all that I'm reading this book. Where is it? Yeah, I told y'all that I'm reading Disruptive Thinking by Bishop T.D. Jakes. It's a phenomenal book. It really is. His books tend to be easy reads. And sometimes we can be intimidated by the volume, but it really is an easy read. And one of the things in there, it talks about disruptive partnerships. So not disruptive in a bad way, but it is the kind of partnerships that allow that makes us or helps us to think outside of the box. Partnerships, every partnership. I want you to think about this, and it's the concept is mentioned in the book. Every partnership should have the perspective of being two things: better and profitable. Every partnership, wherever there is a partnership, the end goal should be to make you better and profitable. I want you to think about it. Think about every relationship. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what kind of relationship, whether it's a personal, interpersonal, or business relationship, or you're part of a system. Every relationship, the goal of you entering that relationship or having somebody to enter a relationship with you, the outcome ought to be better and profitable. Better and or profitable. Think about it. I need to listen to my keyboard. Good relationship, sharp as you. Yeah, I'm telling you all. Think about your friendships. There should be a welcome mat and not allow yourself to become a doormat. Paula D, absolutely. I told you all I love these comments. There should be a welcome mat to welcome people into your life and not allow yourself to become a doormat. That's right. You don't get to wipe your feet on. No. It's not that kind of acquaintance. It's not that kind of friendship. No. Absolutely. I'm not going to be your doormat for you to walk on. But if I want you to become a part of my life, what I'm going to do is toss out the welcome mat and say, come right on in. Or I may stand at the door and peep out the door for a little while and say, who's at the door? Sometimes, I feel this thing. Sometimes before we allow people to come into our lives, we need to open the door. We need to look through the peephole and say, who's there? And I don't mean just in the physical, but when there are people standing there, people want to become a part of your life, you need to say to yourself, who's at the door? Tell me about you. Present your resume. And I don't mean that in the sense of staying there with your resume, but what does your character say about you? I have to be careful about who I let in my life. What does your character say about you? What does your integrity look like? What does your fortitude look like? What does your steadfastness look like? What does your consistency look like? What does your temperament look like? I need to know who is standing at the door before I decide to let you come into my life. And I offer you the power of selection, ejection, and rejection. Because you might make a mistake and let the wrong person in your life, but you hold the key to ejection. Because as the book suggested, if they are not helping you to think outside of the box, and if they're not helping you to become better, and they're not helping you to become profitable, then you have to ask yourself, is this a healthy acquaintance? That's all kinds of relationships. The end goal, the end game ought to be to make somebody better or more profitable. And I don't mean necessarily profitable in terms of finances. That could be a byproduct, but I mean profitable in terms of who they are, their strength, their value, and how they see themselves, all of those sorts of things. Do a All right, let me think of one person. Let me think of the person I consider my best friend. Does my best friend really add value to my life? Does my best friend really make me a better person? You have to ask yourself. And then, here comes the challenge. And then you have to say to yourself, all right, the people who consider me friends, do I add value to their lives? Do I make them better? Or do I stress them out all the time? Do I give them anxiety all the time? You have to ask, what am I giving and what am I getting in these relationships and these friendships? Who do you hang around? Bobby Dilmar always say your life will show up at your funeral, and it will. Yes, Paula D. She's teaching tonight. Paula D. is teaching. She says that, yeah, there should be a welcome mat and not allow yourself to become a doormat. I'm telling you all, it's important. It is important. We're growing in wisdom. We're growing in age, and our days are just passing right on by. But as our days pass by, we ought to hold on to wisdom. So teach us to number our days. Help me to spend my days in wisdom. And if I didn't spend my earlier years in wisdom, then God help me to spend my latter days in wisdom, exercising wisdom, offering wisdom, teaching somebody the things that life taught me. Who are we hanging around? Friendships and how we select them, it is important. It makes a difference. It makes a world of difference, because a lot of times when we start selecting friendships, it says a lot about us. What do you mean? Because happy people tend to have happy friends. If you are a happy person, you want to add happiness to somebody's life, but you also want people to add happiness to your life. It's in my nature to be a happy person. So I don't want grumpy people around me. And if they are grumpy and they're going to be around me, that's okay if I can pour my happiness into them. So in terms on the scale of 1, 2, 3, what kind of relationship do I have? Then that's the 1 in my mind, because if they are grumpy and they come into my life and I'm a happy person, that is my emotional 1. And I need to mentor and pour happiness into them and show them how to be a little more upbeat, a little more optimistic, a little more happy. I'm not immediately going to eject them. I'm going to work with them, because I believe in being a good steward over the people who come into your life. The same way I want somebody to work with me. I didn't go into everybody's life. I didn't go every friendship that I have. I didn't walk into that friendship as a polished person. I walked in with some bumps and some bruises and some scars. But I'm thankful that those are the friends who waited for me and worked with me. Can I say that again? I didn't go into every friendship as a perfect person, and I'm still not a perfect person, but there were friendships that I did not enter as a whole person. I entered broken and battered and tattered and torn and scarred, and had battle scars from what life had done to me. But when I went into those friendships and those acquaintances, one of the wonderful things that I'm thankful for is that they waited for me and worked with me. So no, I'm not saying immediately dispel people out of your life. Be patient. Give them a little time. Work with them. Be good stewards over the lives that come into your life. Who do we hang around? That's what I keep asking. That's the question that I'm asking tonight. Because who you hang around, who you decide to let into your life, reveals a lot about what you think about your worth. And your self-worth is important. Do we allow, if you are a peaceful person, do you allow people to bring chaos into your life? And if you allow them to bring chaos into your life, it ought to be because you are a 3 in knowing how to be peaceful, and they are a 1 and you're pouring into them. If you, on the other hand, are the chaotic person, then if you are the chaotic person and a peaceful person comes into your life, for goodness sakes, you ought to recognize that peace is much better than chaos. You got to recognize the value that they bring and then allow them to pour that into your life. I'm laughing because Bobby Dilmar, when I talked about, I'm thankful that when I went into some of my friends' life, I was broken and battered and tattered and torn and scarred and and whatever I was saying. And I said, I'm thankful that my friends, they worked with me and waited for me. And his response is, yes, we did. I don't know that I've ever gotten so tickled while doing a broadcast. But you've got to do that with people. When people come into your life, y'all listen. Don't immediately throw them out. Don't let them hang around too long and poisoning your life and dirtying up your psyche and your soul. Right? You can't do that. Hey, Auntie, my friend, it's so good to see you. I'm talking tonight about, listen, who do we hang around? And I'm saying that the people we hang around says a lot about us, our acquaintances and friendships. It says a lot about us, and who we choose to allow in our lives says a lot about what we think we deserve. Uh-oh. Who we choose to allow into our lives says a lot about what we think we deserve. I think I deserve to be better. I didn't say I think I'm better than everybody or better than anybody. I think I deserve to be made better. So guess what? I'm looking for threes in my life. I'm looking for people who can pour into my life. I'm looking for at least twos in my life as well. People who can, the give and take and the exchange. But I'm looking for ones because I think in this life, I've gained some wisdom. I'm looking for a balanced life, you all. Yeah. So then remember, who do you hang around? Who you hang around in life? I'm telling you, they're going to show up. They're going to show up at your funeral. If they walk with you in life, they may walk alongside you or behind you in death. But as you're deciding who you hang around, remember this. The power of selection, ejection, and rejection is real. It's real. Can you recap, Cutler, and say what you meant when you talked about the power of selection, ejection, and rejection? Absolutely. You have the power, the ability, the authority, and the right to select the people that you want to come into your life. That's selection. It's your right, it's your authority, it's your privilege, it's your responsibility. You have the right to select who you want to come into your life. Now, let me say this. Just because you select them doesn't mean that they're coming. Sometimes we want people to be a part of our lives, but they have the right to select as well. And there must be, as we say in the law, a meeting of the minds. Have you ever wanted people to be a part of your life, but they didn't want to be a part of your life and you got upset with them? Don't get upset with them anymore. They have the power to select just as you do. So that is the power of selection. And the selection doesn't have to be immediate and fast. They can show up at your door and you can just say, all right, let me screen this person. Let me look out the peephole. Let me pop the door open and say, who is it? And find out what the character looks like, what the integrity looks like, all that kind of stuff. So that's the power of selection. I'm just recapping because I got to get out of here. I'm just trying to help save our lives tonight based on who we hang around. So that's the power of selection. Then there's the power of ejection. Ejection means you've allowed them to come into your life. And then you discover either their season is over or they're not who I thought they were. They revealed themselves to be something opposite as I thought. And so now they're in my life. Cutler, what do I do? Because they're not going to be my one. I can't pour into them. I'm tired of pouring. They don't push and poke and prod. And we don't challenge each other. It's not that. They're not pouring into my life. They just add nothing to my life. Then you have the power of ejection. Have you all seen some of these TV shows when people are riding on planes or they're riding places and all of a sudden there's the eject button, boop, it pops them right out? That's ejection. You have the power to do the same thing, eject people right out of your life. And you don't have to be nasty or coy about it. You don't have to be crass and you don't have to be irascible. You don't have to be any of that. You don't have to be caustic. You don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to be ego. You don't have to be any of that. But you could just simply eject them out of it. Listen, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to say this because it's just my platform. I'm going to say thank you. And you can do it like this. Listen, may the Lord watch between me and thee. Goodbye. Don't be so short and curt and abrasive. That was just me, just for the sake of talking here this evening. But you have the power of ejection. And then don't forget you have the power of rejection. Everybody who comes to your door don't get to come into your house. Uh-oh. Everybody who comes to your door that should not get to come to your house. I like the way Paula D said it this evening. There should be a welcome mat and not allow yourself to become a doormat. You have the power of rejection. And we have heard this thing, if we build it, they will come. That really happens a lot of times. What people show up because you've built character. You've built strength and value and fortitude and stamina and consistency and success and all of those sorts of things. You've built it so people show up. But just because they show up does not mean that they get an entrance pass. Ask yourself, who do I hang around? And what do my relationships say about what I think I deserve? This just has been an evening of food for thought. We've been talking, and I'm telling you, it just passed by. Time just went right on by. But I hope I offered us something to think about, something that inspires us, something that motivates us, but something also to challenge us to think about who we let in our lives and whose lives we are trying to become a part of. Let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Make sure that you stay safe and stay sane. Keep your head up, keep your hopes up, and know this: from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I bid you all a good night, and until the next time we talk, for goodness sake, tell somebody, come on, and let's talk to Cutler. Have a good evening, everybody. Good night.